Hey everyone, today on Rob and Marvy, what I wanted to do, since we're camped on BLM land in the beautiful desert of Arizona, western Arizona, and it's only 3 days before Thanksgiving, is I wanted to set up our tent. Most of the time we're living in the van and traveling with it, but when we know we're going to be somewhere for a while, we like to set up this tent. And this is a Kodiak canvas tent, and it's a 10 by 14 tent deluxe. It's the one that has the windows not only in the front and back with the doors in the front and back, but it also has these side windows also. So it's a great tent, and I just wanted to show you how to set it up today. One of the first things to know is that the tent itself is not that heavy. It's under 50 pounds, I think. Well, you saw me pick it up. I'm 62. I don't have any trouble with that. It's got tent stakes, plenty of heavy duty stainless steel. I'll try to bring that up close. Stainless steel heavy duty tent stakes, which are great if you're going to be in a national forest or somewhere where the soil is softer and all of that. And then I've got the tent poles, and those are stainless steel. I want to go back just before we get started and talk about the options when you're on rock and gravel and very hard surfaces. It will take forever to pound in these stakes, and sometimes they'll bend even though they're that heavy duty. Now, some people recommend that you go in by the rebar with the loops and grind and pound that in. You can. I'm lazy. I don't like to do that. So I prefer to use these, and these work phenomenally well. You use a drill with a bit or a socket, and these are a little over 6 inches long, and these are called lag bolts, or in this case, since it's got a screw end, it's called a lag screw. And you're basically going to put that in there and drive it right in, and you're done in no time at all. This tent takes 16 stakes or lag screws to hold it in and to anchor it down on the soil. This is critical that you do that because there are no guy lines to support it on the top. And yet, by anchoring it well, this thing will withstand over 40-mile-an-hour winds and heavy rain. So come along with me. You're going to notice I may have a GoPro on my head. That's so you can see a different angle of me putting these in. Okay, so here we go. These nylon or tarps called footprints are really handy. And I've got to tell people, if you've never been camping before, one common mistake people have is they will put the tarp, they'll buy a tarp, just a big tarp, and they'll put the tent on top of it. A lot of these tents are self-standing, and the tarp extends underneath it, and it sticks out about a foot all around it. Well, all of that does is when it rains, all that water accumulates on that wet perimeter and goes up under, and the tent doesn't usually have a very good nylon bottom, and people get soaking wet. So really, you could stay dry in some of the worst tents made if you guy line them out and you know how to set them up. That's probably the number, in my experience of 50 years of camping, the number one cause that people get wet in the rain is they just don't set up their tents properly. Okay, let's continue. Okay, and now the most time-consuming job really of this whole process, and that's hammering the stakes in. However, like I said, I have a drill, and lag bolts. So we're going to put these on here next, okay? So I'm going to set these around. Okay, so those 4 are in. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of them in. Okay, so we're pretty much done. We're pretty much done with it. I wouldn't say the hardest part is over, but the most physically demanding, repetitious part is over, and that's hammering in the stakes. And we didn't have to do that because of this this drill. So now we're going to go ahead and do the pole structure. Okay, so now we're going to put on into the tent poles. Now remember, we've secured everything around the tent. It's not going anywhere, and the poles are kind of a tension pole with a couple other poles on the side, and then 2 vertical poles. Those are going to be the most difficult part of this setting up this tent. I will struggle and do it myself, but usually I have Marvy help me, especially if there's a little bit of a wind. Okay, so come along and let's do those. Okay, so we're actually ready to lift this up now. One of the things to know is that it's empty. There's no air in it. And as you lift it up, it's going to build in volume, and it can't do that if there's not any air. And if you have sealed all the doors and the windows, you're going to break your back trying to lift it up simply because there's no way that air can enter to expand the tent. So always make sure you got, a couple of the doors opened as far as you can, just enough to let the air in. I've got the back door here, so I'm going to open that up. So we are ready to go. It's not that difficult at this point, but I do need my shoes on, and we're almost done. Physically, this is the hardest part. If you're a smaller man or a woman that's not in really good shape, you may have difficulty with this, or if you're older, this may be something you really need help with. Like I said, I generally use Marvy to help me with this part, but I'm just going to show you that it can be done, in theory, by one person my age. Here we go. So again, you just put the pole in, and there's a hook down here that the pole is going to go into, and just a little nub right here that the pole sits on. So I'm lifting this up to get air in it. I put this right under here, and then I just push it up and put it under the hoop. Getting tension. And then I just get this set up ready, and I just lift it up and put it in. Just like that. Do the other side the same way. Again, lifting it up, and this, remember, has to draw air into it, so it may take a couple seconds. Get that there, slowly push it up. Okay, it's set. So that's pretty much the tent. So the last thing we want to do is open up the awning. Now the awning doesn't really provide an area that you're going to set up a table and chairs under and get out of the shade or the sun or out of the wind and rain. It really provides an area that you can get dry access into the tent, and also if you need to open up a vent for heavy rain so you can have ventilation, this is really the purpose of this. And folks, it's just that easy. I mean, yeah, it did take a while. It probably, I mean, I'm editing this, of course, to speed it up. But this whole thing probably took me about 20 minutes, 25 minutes by myself, excluding the editing and the camera work, setting everything up and moving things around. But the actual work itself probably took less than 20 minutes, 25 minutes by myself. Man, if you've got two people helping you, you're probably done 10, 15 minutes at the most. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions at all, if you own one and you love it or you don't like it, please share, because there's other people on our channel that would be not only interested in my opinion, but your experiences as well, okay? Until next week, you guys have a great time. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share it. Tell people about us if you like us, because we really depend on you to spread our channel so we can build an audience, okay? Like, until next week, I'll see you down the road. Thanks.